I'm R.A. Schwartz, and welcome to the Winsidr Show, where it's all about the W. The trade deadline has come and gone. Have the league standings been impacted? Teams rushing to make quick moves, while some teams happily watch other teams panic. It's a fun time in the season with tons to discuss. So let's cut to the basket. Before we get into today's show, just a quick reminder, Winsidr is a fully independent WNBA news site, and everything we do is supported by listeners like you. If you enjoy what we're doing here, you can help keep it going by joining our patreon.com/Winsidr. That's patreon.com/Winsidr. With pricing levels for everyone, you can directly show support for the hard work we do covering the W year round. We also have an amazing team producing great written coverage over at winsidr.com. Plus, more content than ever across TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, X, and YouTube. And finally, if you're in the market for WNBA gear, check out the affiliate links in the show notes. But also on winsidr.com, you get to rep the league, and we get a little support along the way. Welcome back to the Winsidr Show. Excited to be here with the one, the only, Matt Cunningham. How you doing? How are you enjoying the post wake of trade deadline moves, reactions? We're like going into it, obviously, as we've been following the league for a while, we know the W is not an insane A'ja Wilson's traded right before the trade deadline.
Okay.
But let's be real, Kelsey Plum, probably the biggest name pre-trade deadline. I saw some stat, some reputable account tweeted out or X'd out. I don't know what you call it now when it's not anymore. But that Kelsey Plum was the player with the highest points per game ever traded in mid-season for a player who played more than 10 games, which makes me curious of like who was that player who played 9 games who was scoring 25 points a game. But definitely like an eye-opener and an interesting move. What's your thoughts before we dive into like the full breakdown of all the moves, before we break down into the grades and all that? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see how these things play out, especially like the KP trade. Like, we won't really know how worth it was until the offseason, like, obviously with her becoming a free agent and everything. But, yeah, some exciting things. I do think there were a lot of moves that could have happened that didn't, like the Betnijah Laney Hamilton trade obviously didn't happen. And last night she got another DNP. So there's still some questions for teams. I'm a bit surprised by some of the inactivity from some teams that definitely could have made moves to make this push a little easier. But like you said, like, it's not like the trade deadline isn't that crazy in the W usually. So I'm sure we'll see more action as the season wraps up.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. It felt almost like the clamoring, the discussions around the trade deadline this year, it was more so like, I feel like often going into trade deadline, the conversations are more so this team needs X, Y, and Z to get themselves to that next stage. And I was talking about this online with some people. Like, to me at least, it didn't feel like any of the teams that are near the top of the standings, the teams that all season long we've been talking about being legit contenders. I mean, unless you want to talk about New York, which I'm sure we'll get into later. But it didn't feel like Minnesota, Vegas, or Golden State, at least in my opinion, we're in a position where one move would really put them over the edge or really solidify them in that spot. There was all this talk about Cheryl Reeves saying, "Oh, we're open for business. We've been open all season long. Call us, call us, call us." Normally when someone's saying that, it's like, I'm happy where I am. You're either desperate for people to call you, or you're like, hey, give me a call, make me an offer I can't refuse. Like, you're not publicizing that. So, and Vegas, with the turmoil they have had with Kennedy Carter and the current drama, off-court stuff, we don't need to necessarily get into that. But like, I don't think they're trying to rock the boat now. I think they're trying to steady the boat. Same with Minnesota, who just got feedback. And you could even argue even bigger, Dorka back, who has struggled early and then maybe has found her footing. And then I saw Natalie Nakase talking about this, like multiple coaches calling her that she respects and saying, don't rock the boat. You have the chemistry. What you have created is beautiful and amazing and underrated, that I don't think has been talked about enough, is that not only has Golden State continued this growth pattern this season, but to me, the most impressive part is you did that through an expansion draft. You did that through a free
Mhm.
agent. This is a team that so much relied on every piece of the puzzle, and then you lose some of those pieces, but you're able to bring other ones in and fit into those roles and then continue to grow and be better. So I was just really happy to see Golden State not make that move.
Same.
Okay,
No,
so
definitely same.
right? A lot of people they're like Washington, and I'm like, no, like all the teams that are in like the top half of the league are in the spots they want to be in. Like a lot of them are
Mhm.
probably better than they could have expected. So are you going to make like a panic all in? I don't have a good betting analogy here, but like it doesn't make sense. Okay, let's talk about the actual moves that happened. The first move, the Sun traded Anissa Morrow to the Toronto Tempo for a 2028 second round pick. Okay, not the deepest draft, but still that's a pick. And then Masha Klindikova, also known formerly as Maria Vadiva, now Maria Klindikova, also known as Masha, player who played some time in LA, a player who played a little bit of time last year in Minnesota, who is not over now this season. Um, we'll get into thoughts and grades on that. In general, my like when I saw that, I was just like, okay, so and I think I messaged this in Slack earlier in the week. Is Connecticut just going to do a fire sale? Right? Like we're moving. It's pretty obvious you're going to keep a few select players from this roster at
Mhm.
most. Pretty obvious you're probably not keeping the coach, the GM, the front office staff, and all that. So it's like this is a weird collaboration effort. And props to, the Toronto Tempo for finding a way to get a young player with a lot of upside for not much, for really not much. What were your thoughts when you saw this move?
Yeah, like you said, I mean, I was a little surprised by like I'm sure there was a bigger market for Anissa. But I'm happy for her. First of all, I think like she's a great player. She started the season off really amazing. And then she just like kind of stopped playing, which yeah, I mean, obviously I'm not in the room. I don't know what was happening. I know she had some time off for personal reasons. Like I don't know what was happening between her and the front office. But like the facts are she is a great player that can contribute to wins. Um, I think the tempo like will look really interesting with her. Like obviously they have Izzy Harrison, but I think they could coexist on the floor. And I think I know like yeah, Toronto was looking for a big, so they did what they wanted to do. And yeah, like you said, I don't really know what the long term plan is for Connecticut. Obviously moving to Houston. Um, yeah, it'll be interesting. Like I don't know. I feel like I might have been more inclined to maybe she would have been one of the players that I would want to bring to the new franchise. But like I said, we don't know what was going on behind the scenes. So yeah, it was an
No,
interesting trade for sure.
I'm with you on that. Yeah, and like you brought up Laney Hamilton earlier. There's a lot of online rumors, discussions, whatever breadcrumb leaving or trying to follow whatever of that was the trade that people expected. Side note, I kind of feel like if you're Laney Hamilton, like there's a couple ways to look at this. One, obviously you're not happy in your role in this team. Easy. Fine. We can say that without like assuming things.
Mhm.
You're not playing, you want to play. Um, but do you want to go from this Liberty team that, and we'll discuss this in a little bit, that like possibly could turn a switch on, make the like still in the playoffs, and do something in the playoffs, or do you want to go to Connecticut? So like,
Right.
I totally understand wanting to go somewhere else. Why? And like, I think Laney Hamilton could provide a lot to actual teams right now, right? But does she like? I maybe they're being nicer and not shipping her to Connecticut right before
Yeah.
Connecticut season's over and they dip out to Houston. Then it makes it sound. All right. The second move that maybe necessarily wasn't considered a trade deadline move, but I wanted to bring up mostly because there's only two trades, and I thought this was pretty exceptional GM work by Cheryl Reeve. So Eli Hamzova, who had bounced around in the developmental contracts for Minnesota to a 7-day contract. What Cheryl Reeve has done with that has been amazing. This is not flashy moves, but they're savvy. Taking advantage of the fact that you have these developmental players on your roster, you can move them into a normal contract. You can move them back to that developmental contract. You can move them back this, move them back. And she has been playing that do-si-do all season long pretty masterfully. But then what she does to end the trade deadline was really shocking. I got a lot of text messages from people that were freaking out. Oh, what happened to Ellie? Hams is cut. Hams is waived. I'm like, guys, pump the brakes, chill out. That's not actually what's happening. They're like, yes, it is. Chloe Bibby, we signed. Chloe Bibby, first of all, 3-and-D player, some good size, some good depth for this Lynx team. Not a flashy player, not a player who everyone's like, oh my God, they signed her. This is a huge move. But what Minnesota was able to do is add talent without giving away talent. So what we were talking about earlier is these top teams have a flow, have things working for them. They don't want to ruin that. They don't want to ruin the vibes of the team. And you do that when you remove a player and bring in new players. There's expectations, there's roles, those things like that. Something you probably know, well, maybe not, because in college sports, there's not really trades and stuff, but you're a national champion. So you obviously know what it takes to win. But so, like, I like that they were able to add a player in without taking away. I think that's huge. But I think the even bigger message that happened was Ham's third 7-day contract was up, or is going to be up in a day or two. By releasing her of that, they don't have to sign her to a rest of season contract at a minimum. And now they're able to sign her outright at a negotiated contract. So they can say in the future to overseas players, not only if you come over here to a developmental spot, will we play you, but also if you play well, we will reward you with paying you more, which I think is a huge, huge thing. Maybe a little nuanced thing, but a huge thing in the future of the WNBA and where this league is going, and more teams, you need to tap that overseas market. So yes, cool move, I think. The third and probably the biggest move and the most eye-grabbing, the most attention-getting, Kelsey Plum traded to Phoenix for Phoenix's 2027 first rounder, a second rounder in 28, and Makani. So many thoughts on this. Before I get into this, at the time of the trade, let's lay the groundwork. 15 games left for Phoenix. 6 games out of the playoffs. Okay? That's all I gotta say. What are your reactions? What's your thoughts to this move? I've seen a lot of mixed opinions on this. I'm curious your take. Before we get into grades, just your overall thoughts on this.
Yeah, well, going back to what we were talking about before, my first thought was that I was happy that the Valkyries didn't do it. Just because, like you said, like, also this goes back to what you were talking about with the Lynx, like, the chemistry, like, it wouldn't have been possible for the Valkyries to get her without giving anyone up. Obviously, it's Kelsey Plum, salary cap, like, that's just not possible for a player for caliber. And yeah, I think it's an interesting move. Like you said, there's only 15 games left, and KP has made it clear that she is still going to go through the free agency process. And also, it's like, it's interesting because the Mercury's push for the playoffs is not very clear cut. I think they play a few of the teams that they will be on the bubble with. Like, I think they play Washington like a few times in these next few 15 games. So it just gets murky, right? Like, if they don't make the playoffs, then if they don't make the playoffs and KP leaves, literally, what was that for? If they make the playoffs, okay, maybe you can make a run. Still, it's like, I don't know. It's definitely an interesting trade. It wasn't, I mean, I know that there were some whispers about the Mercury, but I honestly wasn't expecting it. And I wasn't expecting the return to be, I mean, the return wasn't that bad, but yeah, I was just interested. I would say I was surprised when I saw it.
Yeah. No, 100%. I'm very much with you on that because, like you're saying, you play this out. You make the playoffs. Okay, cool. Maybe you can make a deep playoff run. Let me point out my biggest concern with this. The KP has been amazing on offense. Their defense has been horrific when she was in Vegas. Or sorry, in LA. Now you bring her over to the Mercury, who, again, their struggle has been their defense. And what do we see? Yes, they won last night, and all the headlines are KP has this amazing game for like best scoring game from a player joining the Mercury in their first game. This like all of these positive things. She shot amazing. She looked great. And I agree that offensively they can look really scary. They still let up 101, and Sydney Taylor left the game early. So like are you just like, okay, it's very short-sighted in my opinion. This is very much on par with what the Mercury are doing. Supposedly what the team, the ownership has been doing on the men's side too, I hear. I don't know. I don't follow the men's side. I don't care about that league. Um, but what the Mercury have done since they got this new ownership, and honestly, the last 5+ years of Tarasi's career, so it's been like the last 8 seasons
Mhm.
of this for the Mercury, is we don't care about 2 years down the road. We don't care about 3 years down the road. We care about this year with a little bit of vision and a little bit of care of next. And
Mhm.
like you said, you make the playoffs, great. You're going to make a deep playoff run. I question how that's going to work. Like, yeah, AT is great in the playoffs. Yeah, Ka's great in the playoffs. Yeah, KP is great in the playoffs. But your defense is crap now. It's not just going to magically appear in the playoffs. And then second of all, as you rightfully pointed out, she doesn't come back. She wants to explore. And I mean, this is essentially the biggest, like the Mercury are down to do some ridiculous big things to like try and convince a player to come to them. This
Mhm.
is essentially like starting free agency early for them.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say the season's over, but you kind of need to almost win out and hope that the teams above you lose out. Like you mentioned, okay? And we'll talk about this when we get to towards the end of the episode, but the Mercury are playing Washington 3 times before this season is done. That is a lot. They're playing Atlanta twice. They're playing the Wings twice. They're playing Vegas once. So, like, on the one hand, you're going to get a great opportunity to prove if you can make it in the playoffs.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, you're bringing a player in, and then it's like, trial by fire, throw them in the deep end. Like, this is intense. This is crazy. Now, look, 3 American Olympic gold medalists, 3 superstars. I get it. I see the vision. But again, to me, it's short sighted. To me, you're giving up McConney, who has a lot of upside at a team friendly contract. You're giving up a future draft pick, which obviously might not be the greatest of picks, but still, percentage wise, you have an opportunity to get a good player. You're doing a lot. It's a lot.
Mhm.
Um, we'll see. All right, grades, real quick. LA, I'm giving them an A in my book because your season's done. She's leaving after the end of the year. You got some return. You got draft picks, which you've been giving up like crazy, stupidly. You got a young player on a team friendly contract. What else do you want?
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Like, they had to deal KP out because she was going to leave. So yeah, that's probably close to the best they could have gotten, given that KP was on this. Like, with given the situation, not that many people probably wanted to take a risk, like a bet on getting KP. So this probably is close to the top of what they could have gotten. So yeah, probably an A as well.
I don't know many other teams that aren't in the playoffs who are trading their first round pick to get a player for 14 games.
Exactly.
That's wild. Okay, Toronto. I honestly forget that. A+ for LA. A+. Also, considering like no real GM and all, whatever. A+ for LA. Um, Minnesota, I'm giving an A. Savvy work, nothing impressive, cool. Like that's not even a trade grade, so I don't know why I'm even including them. Toronto, I'm giving them an A also. Add a great young player. You give them time to actually like gel with this team, understand what's going on. Team friendly contract. Didn't give up much. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Like you said, she's a young player. Her and Mabry have that chemistry. They played together. And they didn't have to give up much. And yeah, going into your second year as a franchise, like down the road, this is a great place to build off of. Like, yeah, I think it'll be great. Like the big, obviously they're good with the guards already. They have Mabry, they have Brittany Sykes, who they say is coming back this season. So they filled the gap that they made it clear that they have and that they want to attack. And yeah, they didn't have to give up much. So
The Mercury, I'll be nice and I'll give him a D because I'm be real. Like I hate this move and it is such a gamble and it is so classically Phoenix Mercury. I see the only reason I'm not giving a straight up F is because if they can get her, there is still that like small chance. If these games serve enough of a reason to get her to stay, then
mhm.
fine. If you get KP to stay next season, But again, I would because I love to argue myself, the devil's advocate in me would be like, okay, why didn't you just not give up a draft pick for her and McConney for her when you could have just made that pitch and signed her 3 months later? But hey, so that's the only reason I'm not giving it an F. Well, are you going to be nicer than me and give him a C? No, you can give him a B or A if you want.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say the same thing, so I guess I'll say a C minus. But it's the same
All right.
thing. Like, yeah, I mean, the only thing giving me hope for them for retaining her, she loves DT, right? DT texted her. Like, maybe if they show her a great time, like in these next 15 games and she comes back, then it could be like a decent trade. But the thing is, like you said, they're a very they're a very win now type of team and type of front office, like how they seem to be operating. So it's just like, I don't know, like they have a bunch of aging players and like they're giving up pieces of their future, which like you said, they don't seem to care about very much. I mean, yeah, it's just like you said, it's very short-sighted. Like if she leaves, then it's really a terrible trade. Like genuinely, if she leaves and they don't make the playoffs, especially, it's just like I don't know why you would even do that. So yeah, I think it's just hard to grade because it really depends. And but even then, like even if they retain her, it was still a dumb trade. It was still dumb. They just like it just happened to pay off. So it's like
Yeah.
yeah.
For this is an obscure. They Jar Jar Binks, like maybe a Star Wars like failed into success somehow. If it works, that's my take. But hey, ended on the worst note. Connecticut Sun giving them a straight up F. Not getting a high draft pick, not getting a first round pick, giving up a young player on team friendly contract when you're moving, when you want to have as much assets as you possibly can to then disperse in trades once you have moved. So I'm giving them an F. I mean, Klindikova, fine. She hasn't looked the same as she did in her young years. This is a player who everyone thought was going to be a top European player, the number one player in Russia. And it just hasn't panned out that way. And yeah, like it seemed, I jokingly said, it seems like maybe they're going to like, F it, our team's done. Why do we care what happens in Houston? And it almost feels like it's that type of move. I'm not saying that's actually what happened, but that's kind of how it feels. Are you going to be nicer than me on that?
Honestly, no, because I'm just like I really need to know what the other packages were. Because like I heard like I'm pretty sure like they were in talks with the Liberty. The Liberty could have given them more than that. Like and like
Anybody
you
on
said,
the Liberty?
huh? Yeah, literally. Like if they had gotten like Raquel Carrera, like it could have been something better. So and I know that more people than the Tempo called for Anissa, and I know that they called with probably better packages. So I don't really understand it. Like you said, maybe it's just like a spite thing. Like, okay, like if you want to take our team, you won't have any of our pieces that we traded. In that case, okay, I kind of see it. But
If it's a spite move, we
that's
give a
pretty
great
funny.
grade.
Like I
Yeah.
support that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not really, it doesn't make sense to me. Yeah.
I'm with you. All right, panic meter. We'll start with team with the biggest fan base in the league, New York Liberty. Where is your panic meter? Because I'm gonna be real. I'm inching to the point, and I love me a hot take. That like I love me those bets that are like I don't actually bet, but I love those bets where it's like put down $2, win 1,000. Like I'm not the type of person who's like, let me put down $10 and then walk away with 15. Like, why am I even betting? Where's the fun in that? So with the Liberty, like in that mindset that I have, I'm like, as the days pass, even when they get wins, I'm inching closer and closer to like, is this team going to make the playoffs? Like, I know that is insane. I know that's ridiculous, but I'm getting to that point. Yes, they can flip it on at any moment. I'm at an 8. I'm at an 8 and I want to be higher, but the fact that they have Stewie and JJ and Sab, it's hard for me to go higher than that. But like my gut's telling me I should be at 9 at least. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel like it's hard for me like not to be reactive to their wins and losses because I feel like now for me it's going down just because they've been winning, but obviously like it is a long-term effort and I mean, there definitely are a lot of things that are like blaring alarms for me, like the injuries. Like I think I talked about this last season. Satu, I I think someone has to investigate what happened with her in the Mercury last year because like I think she seems to be really struggling like coming back from this concussion, and I know that she suffered a concussion with the Mercury that might not have been handled, how it should have been. So I mean honestly, there's a possibility that we don't see her on the floor for the rest of the season. Like Coach DeMarco yesterday said that there's no timeline for return and she's like just now returning to individual workouts, and it doesn't sound like someone asked him about Fibic and Sabali, and he very clearly was like, "Yeah, Leo's progressing great." Like, it was very focused on Fibic. So that's worrisome. Also, Fibic has been out for way longer than foot soreness would tell you that she is. Obviously, there's like the World Cup break. Maybe there's something to do with that, but so that part is worrisome to me. I do think if Sabrina if Sabrina continues to play how she's been playing, I think they could probably sneak in with an 8 seed, but also it's like the teams above them, like, I mean, like the Mystics have and can beat the Liberty, right? Like there are teams that it's not like you said, it's not a clear shot that they will make the playoffs, and that's obviously the first time that it's been that way in a while, and that itself is worrisome. Like with this roster, it shouldn't even be a question. So I'll probably say like a 6.5 right now because I think it's going down from previous weeks. But just the fact that they're in this position in the first place with so many questions still unanswered is worrisome.
Chicago Sky, I know it's supposed to be a 1 through 10. I'm going 15. Like, I'm just like, yeah, yeah, I don't think I need to explain anything more. What about you? What number are you at with the Sky?
Yeah, like similar. I guess though I'll say a 9 only because I think they have accidentally set themselves up decently for the future with Sydney Taylor. Like
Yes.
despite their best efforts to like mess everything up, they have gotten this gem that they can build on, right? Like I think Sydney Taylor,
Oh
Dejanay,
my God.
when Rakia comes back, and Camilla can be a solid core, but that's only if they like actually only if they can manage that well. But like I said, like that's really to no credit. I mean, they did draft Camilla, obviously, whatever, but yeah, it's still bad. Like the fact that this is supposed to be a win now team is just like if they literally if they hadn't said that at the beginning of the season, I would have been like, great, like this is a fine team, like for where they are.
Right.
But the fact that you
Exactly.
like the fact that you said it, then it becomes worrisome because I don't know where you got that idea that was going to like be the case.
No, I'm with you. Last team for the panic meter, the Atlanta Dream, on a 1-game lose streak, and they're 6-4 in their last 10. I'm at a 7 with them. I'm at a 7 because like they haven't been so bad, but they've had those losing streaks. I have not seen any consistency. They're getting they got Bree Jones back. And obviously they're like melding in. But yeah, just no consistency. And you want to see over the course of the season for a team to get better and better. I just haven't seen that in Atlanta.
Yeah, like you said, it's the consistency piece. I think Angel has been consistent. I think she's been playing great, honestly. I think the guard play, it gets tricky. Like there are games where obviously Ryan and Alicia look amazing. They were all-stars. We know they're amazing. But there are also games where they just like can't buy a bucket, and that doesn't fare well for like playoff basketball. Like I think this is a team where I'm not sure that they will make it far in the playoffs. Like I think there's a very real possibility that they could be a first round exit, especially like given their standings right now, they would be going against the Valkyries. I mean, the Valkyries swept them in the season series, and the way the Valkyries play, like with defense, with shutting down the three, which the Dreams shoot so many of, I could see them being a first round exit. So yeah, I'm probably also around like a 6 or a 7 just because of like you said, there hasn't been much like upward movement. Like they've been good because they have good players, but they they haven't gotten to that great level that I expected at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I'm very much with you on that. Okay, and now for our final segment, we're running a little long. Just want to point out, if I can stress one thing to everybody: look at the remaining schedule. Look at who the teams are playing as we talk about this, because it's pretty crazy when you look at who's on the bubble, who they got to play. Tankathon has a great site where you can look at toughest remaining schedule. Minnesota with the hardest. It gets pretty intense after that. Just real quick: Minnesota, Connecticut, Indiana, LA, Seattle, Phoenix, Toronto, New York, Portland, Chicago, Washington, Vegas, Atlanta, Dallas, Golden State. Just keeping those in mind. Okay. Our last segment, overreaction, not correction, overreaction or reality. Uh Pretty simple, yes, no. Minnesota is, as of today, August 4th, it's championship or bust. It is championship or bust for this team. And I say yes, as of today. You got a 3.5 game lead. Been consistently the best team in the league. Yes, your defense dropped off, but it's picking back up. You just got feedback. If you don't win it all this year, that's a disappointing season.
I agree. Yeah, they've gotten so close so many times, but this time just feels like this is the time. And also with all the Fee rumors, like I think it's pretty clear that Fee wants to win ASAP. So they need to do that for her. She's their player. They need to, yeah, they need to do what she wants. So they need to win.
Uh, the next one, and this one I had to put in, the Fever have 2 top M5 MVP combo players. I'm going to say no. The Fever don't have a single top 5 MVP player. Like, let me just be real about it. And if they did, I'm sorry, it wouldn't be Caitlin Clark.
Yeah,
Any
I
thoughts?
100% agree.
Cool.
That's all I gotta say.
All right. Next, overreaction or reality. The Liberty won't make the playoffs. I'm going reality because I've talked myself into it throughout this episode. I know it's crazy, and I wish there's not. I don't think you can bet on that, but like I feel like that would be a big payout if you could bet on that. I'm going. They won't make the playoffs. What about you?
Yeah, I guess I'll say overreaction, but I wouldn't be that shocked if it was the reality.
Yeah, that's probably a more realistic take on it, but whatever. Okay. The Sky, the Sparks, the Mercury all need to embrace the writing on the wall, rebuild, and changes must be made throughout the staff, is how I'll politely put it.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
the reality. Yeah, like you can't rush a rebuild, and these teams are showing what happens when you try to.
Yeah. And look at Washington, D.C., who has done just superbly impressive. Golden State is the 3rd team in the context of a contender. There are 3 contenders in the season right now. It is Minnesota. Well, we don't need it, but Minnesota, Vegas, and the 3rd team is Golden State. I think that's the reality. I think legitimately, do I have my questions of having that MVP level superstar when it comes to the playoffs? Yes. But I'm starting to think they have enough of like that tier below that player that can combine to create almost like when all the Power Rangers combine into like the Super Power Ranger or something like that. I think it's reality. I think they are.
Yeah, I think I'd say reality as well. The only thing that's giving me pause is that they've literally never beaten the Lynx before, and they've only beaten the Aces once, right? Like in their franchise history. So if it comes to that in the playoffs, like it gets tricky because I do think the Wings and the Fever might have a better chance at beating those teams, if that makes sense. So it's hard for me to say. But like you said, I think the Valkyries are like the formula that they have is really good for playoff basketball because anyone can have an off night, but anyone can have an off night, but with the Valkyries, like an off night from Gabby Williams or from Veronica Burton could be a 26-point night from Janelle Salon, right? So I think I'll say reality.
All right. And then we're going to leave you with a question that we will answer next week. And I want listeners drop your reply in the comments on the episode or on social media or DM us or whatever. But the question is going to be, can Dallas, Indiana, and Atlanta become true contenders by the time the playoffs start? That's the question that I think on a lot of people's minds as of today. And maybe throughout this episode, I think it's going to be quite interesting as the season ends. And to close out this episode, I want to say thank you for listening and supporting independent WNBA coverage. Winsidr and a lot of other amazing outlets have been doing this for a long time, and it only works because of this community. Don't be fooled when the W gets bigger and bigger and bigger. The major outlets drag their feet to cover it. The independents love this league, so show them some love. See you next week.